it would help if I muted myself. Sorry about that. What's going on, everyone? This is going to be a little bit different. Tonight, probably no trucking talk. But I don't know. I heard this song actually last week. My wife shared it with me. And this is quite an inspirational song. At first, I wasn't too sure about it, but then I listened to it a few more times, and it's pretty inspirational. And this is not just an American song. Like, the artist is from the U.S., but he has even said this is not just an American song. This is a worldwide song. Like, that's his intention. Just, we're going to go through it, verse or paragraph or stanza, whatever you call it, and take it one at a time, because there's a lot of... So the Republicans are trying to use it to fit their purpose, and the liberals are almost calling it a hate speech almost. But that's not what this song's about. Once I get started, I want to do some comments right at the beginning, but once I get started, I'm actually going to just do the song. We're going to listen to the song together. I'll pause it, like, when I see fit to break down each one. And while I'm doing that, I won't be doing the comments, because my idea is I want to break this one down and actually make it a video as well. So we'll see how it goes, but very impressed by this song. So let's go through the comments right quick. Will Burner. I was right on time. I was watching that, 15 seconds late? Come on. If you want me to be honest, I was waiting for my intro to upload. It didn't upload in time. Yeah, I got slow internet. It's like at 90% now. Dar. Every word in that song can apply to me as a Canadian just as well as you as an American, Will Burner says. Yeah, that guy, so first off, I'm going to go over his intro here in a minute, and it's amazing. Like, this guy, he's not even a high school graduate. He's got a GED. He himself says that he's not a genius. He says he's not really that smart. I mean, the guy seems really smart if you ask me, but he doesn't think of himself that way. He doesn't even think of himself as that great of a singer. I don't know. This guy is super impressive. I mean, he even walked away from $8 million record label deal. I'll get into here in a minute, but yeah, I'm blown away by this guy and this song. Like, I think he really is going to do something. Like, he's wanting a revolution. I don't think he wants one that's going to be like harmful as people getting injured or anything. But I don't know. Just from the way he talks, you could tell, like, he's, like the song says, a old soul in a new world. Kind of reminds me, like, is this what the founding fathers would be doing? And like, up in Canada, Ural's founding fathers probably would be doing a similar thing. Both of our countries are not going the route that our founders ever intended. I don't think there's any denying that by anyone. But why don't we go ahead and get started? If anyone else joined since then, here. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll get it started. All right. Oliver Anthony is the band name. Let me get rid of these overlays. That is not this artist's name. We're going to start with the intro by this guy who has released a song that he didn't even think would make this much of an impact, but he's kind of saying what everyone's thinking. That's why the song has blown up so much. So if I could get this set up right, we are going to start with his introduction that he has released. And I got the wrong tab up. Yes, let's share this. I'll go ahead and read it. It's going to give you guys an introduction to who this guy is. It's been difficult as I browse through 50,000 messages and emails I've received in the last week. The stories that have been shared paint a brutally honest picture: suicide, addiction, unemployment, anxiety, and depression, hopelessness, and the list goes on. I'm sitting in such a weird place in my life right now. I never wanted to be a full-time musician, much less sit at the top of the iTunes charts. Draven from Radio WV, and I filmed these tunes on my land with the hope that it may hit 300,000 views. I still don't quite believe what has went on since we uploaded that. It's just strange to me. People in the music industry give me blank stares when I brush off $8 million offers. I don't want 6 tour buses, 15 tractor trailers, and a jet. I don't want to play stadium shows. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I wrote the music I wrote because I was suffering with mental health and depression. These songs have connected with millions on such a deep level because they're being sung by someone feeling the words in the very moment they were being sung. No editing, no agent, no BS, just some idiot and his guitar. The style of music that we should have never gotten away from in the first place. So that being said, I have never taken the time to tell you who I actually am. Here's a formal introduction. My legal name is Christopher Anthony Lunsford. My grandfather was Oliver Anthony, and Oliver Anthony music is a dedication to not only him, but 1930s Appalachia, where he was born and raised. Dirt floors, 7 kids, hard times. At this point, I'll gladly go by Oliver because everyone knows me as such. But my friends and family still call me Chris. You can decide for yourself. Either is fine. In 2010, I dropped out of high school at the age of 17. I have a GED from Spruce Pine, North Carolina. I worked multiple plant jobs in Western North Carolina, with my last being at a paper mill in McDowell County. I worked third shift 6 days a week for $14.50 an hour. It was a living H. In 2013, I had a bad fall at work and fractured my skull. It forced me to move back home to Virginia. Due to complications from the injury, it took me 6 months or so before I could work again. From 2014 until just a few days ago, I've worked outside sales in the industrial manufacturing world. My job has taken me all over Virginia, into the Carolinas, getting to know tens of thousands of other blue-collar workers on job sites and in factories. I've spent all day, every day, for the last 10 years hearing the same story. People are so tired of being neglected, divided, and manipulated. In 2019, I paid $97,500 for the property and still owe about $60,000 on it. I am living in a 27-foot camper with a tarp on the roof that I got off of Craigslist for $750. There's nothing special about me. I'm not a good musician. I'm not a very good person. I've spent the last 5 years struggling with mental health and using alcohol to drown it. I am sad to see the world in the state that it's in, with everyone fighting with each other. I've spent many nights feeling hopeless that the greatest country on earth is quickly fading away. That being said, I hate the way the internet has divided all of us. The internet is a parasite that infects the minds of the humans and has their way with them. Hours wasted, goals forgotten, loved ones sitting at home with each other distracted all day by technology made by the hands of poor souls in sweatshops in a foreign land. When is enough enough? When are we going to fight for what is right again? Millions have died protecting the liberties we have. Freedom of speech is such a precious gift. Never in world history has the world had the freedom it currently has. Don't let them take it away from you. Just like those wandering in the desert, we have lost our way from God and let these false idols distract us and divide us. It's a shame. That's his family. That's an old family picture. And I think that was all of his introduction. I mean, that guy, he's not in this for the money. He's not in it for the money at all. It blows me away what this guy is doing and accomplishing. Let's go ahead and get to the song. Like, you all listen to this song. I'll be stopping it every so often because I'm pretty sure YouTube's going to get really mad at me if I don't do that. Plus, I want to break it down. So I hope you all listen to this ahead of time. But I'll go ahead and get this thrown up here, and we'll start. All right.
Well, I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Is that audio playing for you guys? Crap. Get it on my phone. Should have done this ahead of time. Okay, here we go. Now I'll be able. Audio is good. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to restart this because on my side I cannot hear the audio for some reason. So I'm going to mute my mic for a second.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away. Drag
Okay, I got to figure this out. For some reason, it is not doing the audio on my side. Okay, I got to figure this out. Hang on one second, you guys. For some reason. I think I got it figured out. Oh, shoot. That is going to get feedback. I think I got it. All right. We're going to start over. And then I think I got this figured out.
Well, I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn
Wrong button. All right. This is not going to work. I don't understand why I can't hear it on my side. Yeah. Why in the world can I not hear on my side, Will Burner? You do this all the time. Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, or that was actually Dar. I promise you, I tested this whenever I was in the studio, and I heard it just fine. I don't know why I can't hear it on my side now, but it comes through the stream. Figured it out. All right. We're going to act like that didn't happen because my dumb butt had the speakers completely muted. So we're going to start this over. I should be able to hear it now. All right.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame. What the?
All right. First two verses. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for BS pay. How many people do you know that are not working themselves almost to the grave? I mean, us truckers, 70-hour weeks for some of us. The only reason we don't work more than that is because the government doesn't let us. When's the last time any of us had a 40-hour week? I mean, unless we take a day off, do we have 40-hour weeks? And it's not just truckers. I mean, my parents both worked factory jobs. They used to work 40-hour weeks until I was like 10. And then they went to 12-hour days where they had to work every other weekend. I mean, never mind the fact that back in the 50s, 60s, maybe 70s, you can make it on one income in a family. So if you had a household of, I'll use this as an example, my grandparents, household of 3 boys and 1 girl, 4 children. And my grandma was a stay-at-home mom. My grandpa worked for the Highway Patrol, not as an officer, but as a civilian, in a civilian position. I don't know. I think it was records, if I remember right. But I can almost guarantee you, work at the Highway Patrol records division, you ain't going to be able to support a whole family on that salary anymore. I mean, the only people that really work 40-hour weeks anymore are the ones that are well off. I mean, I don't know. I really, each one of these verses touched me in a different way. That's why I'm making this video in the first place. How did we get to this point where you have to have both parents in the family working? I mean, and if you don't, then you are sacrificing like no one else. Like it's crazy how much you got to sacrifice. Yeah, my wife's technically a stay-at-home mom, but she still works. She works from home. I mean, I don't know if we could even make it if she didn't work. It's sad that it's got to this point. And then the next two verses, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. You know, I used to think that the drug problem was because it's illegal. And there's probably some validity to that. But he raises an interesting point, and I could see it. Like my family, I've probably not even shared this, but alcoholism runs very deep in my family. That's why I rarely touch this stuff. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I don't drink, but I honestly can't remember the last time I did drink. I mean, more often than not, me and my wife will get alcohol, put it in the fridge, never drink it. It expires. That's how little we drink. And it's not just alcohol, just drug use in general. Like, I don't know. It's a shame that it's turned out the way it is. Like, people do that as a coping mechanism. That's what this artist is trying to get across. Let's go on.
It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is.
How did we get to this point? How did we honestly get to this point? And as I said before, this is not just an American song. This is worldwide. Like, how did we get to this point? How is it that the rich, the well-off, the politicians, the government, I mean, they should be serving us, but instead we serve them. We serve them, and what do we get for it? I'm not saying they don't do, I don't know. It should not be this way. Our freedoms are getting trampled worldwide. I don't want this to come across that it's just a US problem. You fill in the blank. It's a problem in every single country. But let's go on.
Living in the new world with an whole soul.
I relate to this very much. If y'all haven't figured it out yet, the reason this channel is called Trucking with Liberty is because I'm a libertarian, but at the same time, I'm a libertarian because they're the closest to true liberty. Like, basically, the government should leave us alone. As long as we're not intruding on someone else's rights, hurting someone else, should the government really be bothering us? Like I said before, the government should be scared of us. It should not be us scared of the government. And name a country that you could live in where you're not scared of the government.
Rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control.
Doesn't get more true than that. I mean, these people that run for president, run for any of the offices, how many of them really truly care about helping the everyday citizen? I can't speak for Canadian or any of the other countries. I'm a U.S. citizen, but I can speak for Congress people, the members of Congress, all of them. They might have true spirits and a true dedication to do good. You know what happens to them whenever they get in office? They have to pay the political party like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Look it up if you don't believe me, for a position on a committee. If they don't do that, I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat, the party will not help them run for re-election. They will push them out of office at the very next election cycle. Never mind the scandals they'll bring up. I mean, how many times have you heard about these scandals that, quote unquote, the news media brought up? A lot of these are brought up by the actual parties here in the United States because they want someone out of office. Maybe that's why they're going so hard on Trump. He's not a true politician. I'm not saying I support Trump, but at the same time, it is awful funny. They are trying everything they can to go after the guy.
Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich man, 'cause the rich man.
Do I really need to talk about the dollar? You know, researching this and thinking about the dollar and just the currency system nationwide. What nations are left anymore where their currency is gaining and like actually getting stronger for the everyday citizen? We're supposed to be, quote unquote, the greatest nation on earth. And Canada should be up there too. But both of our dollars, I mean, it's like 10% inflation is what I read for the US currency for every year, like the true inflation rate. So going by that, 10 years ago, our money was worth double what it is now. It's insane. Like, I mean, we go out to buy groceries, and you almost need a second job just to afford groceries. I got 4 kids. And to feed a family of 6, you almost need, honestly, that's probably what my wife's income goes to, is straight to groceries. I mean, I can't remember the last time we walked out the grocery store and spent less than $100 or $200. And we don't just go once a week. I mean, it's insane. And we try to get cheaper stuff, but at the same time, we try to get healthy stuff too. And he'll get to that point here in a second, but why in the world should vegetables cost more than chocolate? I'm sorry, but where did we go wrong? Where there are, and I think it's actually subsidized, like the junk food is almost subsidized to where we eat that instead of eating the healthy stuff.
I wish politicians would look out for miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere.
I love he threw that in there. I love he threw that in there. I'm going to read that one because that's just so impactful. I wish politicians would look out for miners and not just miners on an island somewhere. I mean, I really hope that you all realize what he is saying there. Like, oh crud, I forgot what the guy's name was, but the guy that supposedly killed himself in prison, he had the island, like, with the miners. All these elite were going to this island for, let's just leave it at, because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Let's just say very sinful nature with miners. I mean, it's disgusting. Yeah, but that just shows you all they're in it for themselves. I mean, I think the number one clientele was the dang politicians here from the U.S. that were going to that dang island. Let's go on.
Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds.
Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. As I said earlier, junk food. This is a different angle at it. And I hadn't really thought of that part before I heard it in this song. And it took me probably 4 or 5 times of listening to this song to actually catch that part. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay of your bags of fudge rounds. It's disgusting. We got people living in the streets, as he said just before, and we're paying for obese people on welfare to buy junk food. I mean, what's going on here? What's going on here? We send millions or billions of dollars to Ukraine, but we got people living in the streets. And he was talking about that in a YouTube video that I watched before this. Like, that, it's just disgusting. You know, I'll get to that. We're going to come back to that part because I got an article that actually talks about the junk food and how much of that goes from the EBT or food stamps cars here in the U.S. But let's go on.
Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down.
Okay. I hope I'm not misinterpreting this one. Let's just say this part, I am not quite as certain what he's meaning by this verse. I really hope that he releases a video breaking this down. I'm going to say what I think he's meaning, and I hope it's not incorrect. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this country does is keep kicking them down. I mean, I just uploaded a short. I'm still waiting on the police footage of me getting harassed by the police for walking. I mean, maybe he's talking about that, or maybe he's just talking about the government in general doesn't care about us anymore, almost. I mean, they're all out for themselves. Meanwhile, the everyday citizen, what do they care if they die? I mean, it's just disgusting. I think that's what he's meaning. Hopefully I didn't misinterpret that, but it's just disgusting.
Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world.
I ain't gonna lie. About every day I wake up, or let's just say every year, it's like, how does this keep getting worse? How do we keep losing our rights? How do we keep getting so dang divided? I mean, I don't know if it's the technology. I don't know if it's the government. But we should not be afraid of each other. We should not be fighting against each other. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're Jewish, Muslim, Christian. Why do we have to be so dang divided? I mean, hopefully this doesn't come off the wrong way. But in some ways, September 12th, 2001, I saw the greatest in this country, in the US. September 12th, 2001. Quote unquote thugs were helping out police. The everyday citizen, no one cared if you're a dang Democrat. No one cared if you're a dang Republican. I was in 6th grade, and I even saw it. I mean, you had Jews, Christians, Muslims all helping each other. You did have these crazy people that were going after the Muslims just because these extremists that every single religion has did this vile act. But for the vast majority of people, if you were an American, that's all we cared about. We wanted to help our own. How do we get so far away from that? And why does it take a dang terrorist attack to bring us that close? If there's one thing that I'm sorry for this country for, it's that. We should not be divided. I mean, and that's the media and the government kind of tries to split us. It should not be that way. And I know that's what he was meaning at some of the articles in videos I saw from this guy. He wants us together. He wants us together. He does not want us split. We are better off together. I mean, as long as you're not hurting someone else, impeding on someone else's rights, yeah, that's primarily a libertarian idea, but I think that's truly an everyday citizen idea. You go up to anyone and ask them if they just want to be left alone. I bet you they'd say, yeah, just let me do me. As long as I'm not hurting anyone, why do I need to be bothered? Let's go on.
With an whole soul, these rich men know for Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control.
All the politicians, all the leaders of the world, it's all they want. That's all they want. They want total control. Especially the federal government or national government in some of these other countries. How many of them really care about the everyday citizen? I mean, shoot. I had to, I think it was last year or the year before, I had to call my state rep. I was able to get a hold of her and actually talk to her. Would I have got that help from the national or federal rep? I doubt it. I mean, they don't care about us anymore. They care about us every 4 years or 6 years, whenever the election cycle is. And then they're out here campaigning. But do they care about us the year after election? Shoot, the day after the election. I doubt it.
Want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and then I don't think you know, but I know that you do, because your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, cause the rich men know the rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
I mean, I don't know how you can say it any better than what that song puts it. I mean, it summarizes up real good for me why I'm a libertarian. I'm not pushing anyone to be a libertarian. This is not a libertarian song. As I said before, this is not a Republican, Democrat, libertarian song at all. It just puts it in perspective. This is an everyday citizen song. That's what I love about it. Let's get to the food stamps and the junk food, because that's where I wanted to go next, because that's something that he brought up that I never thought about before. Let's get that pulled up. All right. Anyone want to take a guess what percentage of food stamps is spent on junk food? Here's the dollar figure: $27 billion in 2022 here in the United States was spent on junk food. I mean, that's disgusting. I mean, if you're on food stamps, why can't the government at least, if you want junk food, fine, but why do we need to pay for your junk food? I mean, maybe I'm a bigot for thinking that, but he raised a good point in that song. Let me get that verse again. Lord, we got folks in the street ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. There you go, it's highlighted. Zooming out to junk food more broadly, the study found that 22.6% of a SNAP's household grocery budget or bill is spent on a combination of sweetened beverages, prepared desserts, salty snacks, candy, and sugar, while non-SNAP households spend 19.7% of their grocery budget on these items. I learned something new. Before tonight, I didn't even know that food stamps people spent more money on the junk food. I mean, imagine how many more people that we could help if we just eliminated that. How many people would be on the streets hungry? How many beggars would we have on the corners begging for money? I don't know. This song like incited something in me, and I can't even put it into words. It's just disgusting that we got people living on the streets. You know, where I live, you could barely go around a street corner without seeing someone begging for money. And you cannot tell me those, like maybe there's some that are frauds. I don't think very many of them are frauds. Like, it's just disgusting. It's 3% more. I mean, maybe that's not much, but if we're going to pay for someone's grocery bill, why can't we just have standards? How hard is that? Like, why should we be adding to the health epidemic, the obese epidemic? And this is not fat shaming or just whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what the politically correct term is. It's just insanity. Anyone that eats junk food, and I'm not saying like if you seldom eat it, like I'm not talking to you, but if you eat it often, you're going to gain weight. It's going to cause health problems. You don't got to be a rocket scientist to know that. What's that going to do to the health system in any country? Like, it's going to raise the rates. If you got private insurance like we do here in the United States for now, I mean, that's going to raise your private health insurance rates. over in Canada and some of the other countries that have universal health care, it's probably going to raise your taxes. I don't see how it couldn't. If you're in the hospital more, someone's got to pay for that. I don't know. I hope this song actually incites people to push for change. If y'all like this, leave a comment, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. And those of you in the live, I want to go ahead and start the comments. And if anyone wants this article, let me know in the comments. And you know what? After the comments, I might throw the link in if anyone wants to join. Let's see. Where do we leave off? Okay. I wasn't reading these whenever I had that audio problem. Audio is good. Well, that's good. Glad I know now. Do I need to lend you my engineer DAR? Yeah, you almost did. Dumb me didn't have the volume on my computer. I was trying to figure out why I couldn't hear anything. DAR. Did you ever StreamYard? No, it was a YouTube link. But I figured that out an hour before the stream started because I found out you got to do everything through Chrome for StreamYard to work, right? By the way, y'all like my background? I don't know if this thing is working. I'll probably turn it off here in a second. Hey, Dodie. Hello, everyone, she says. Hey, Dodie. All right. DAR. Most blue-collar jobs work way more hours. Ain't that the truth? Where can you get a job anymore where it's 40 hours a week? I mean, I don't know. That's what bugs me. There's a lot of stuff that bugs me about this country, but that's one of them. I mean, my wife knows. I complain about it so much. Why in the world do we need 2 people in a household working? And you know what? I'll say something, and I hope you all don't take it the wrong way, because I got a theory about this. This could be really taken the wrong way, and I do not mean it in a bigoted way. But part of me wonders when, back when, probably a decade or two before, yeah, probably whenever my grandparents were little, like, only the men worked really. And then as they got older, what, the 50s or something, maybe the 60s, that was when they had was that whenever they had the women's rights or whatever? And they never got the Equal Rights Amendment passed. But part of me wonders, was that kind of the elite wanting the women in the workplace? Because maybe I'm wrong on this, but I got a theory that the reason, like, how many women wanted to work? I'm not saying women shouldn't work, but by having work, you double the workforce. Logically, supply and demand, is that not going to decrease wages? That's my theory. I'm not saying women shouldn't work, but anytime you double the workforce, how does that not degrade wages? Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I really wonder if that was part of the reason for the push for women to work. Never mind the fact that you got both spouses working. How much harder does that make a marriage? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way in left field, but I do wonder about that. Wheel burner. My family was raised up on a cop's salary. City closest to us, no, the smaller city, not the bigger city, but I say smaller, but it's a city of 50,000 people. You'd be surprised how little those police get paid. I know for a fact, and granted, this is dated some time ago, but 2011, those police officers got paid. It was $38,000 a year, or $35,000. Let's go with 38. You know what? We're going to do something. I want to pull something up because this is what I do whenever if I get the right one. Yeah, here we go. Let me get the screen shared. All right. Let's say 2011. Say 38,000. That's how much a police officer made in that town, that city I'm talking about. $51,000 now. 51. Want to hear something funny? Let's see how much they make now. All right, so this is going to give away where I live close to, probably. It's fine. It's not where I actually live. Capital City, Jefferson City, Missouri. Like I said, it was either $35,000 or $38,000 in 2011. Look at that. $41,000. 41,000. What was the inflation calculator? 41,000 for a cop salary. And there has to be an easier way of doing this. So now they start out at 41. 51 is how much they should be paid right now if they would have kept pace with inflation. And that's not picking on cops. That's not picking on cops. Here, how about this? 2012, I made $18 an hour in LTL. Okay, that turned out better than I expected. That's interesting. 23.97. Okay, maybe LTL is not the one that really surprises me. When I left LTL, I was making $32 an hour. I don't know. The point being, most jobs don't keep up with inflation anymore. I mean, somehow that figure can't be right. I've got to be doing something wrong on that. Dodie, we are slaves to society. That's why the homeless don't want to work. I was homeless, but I didn't want help from the government. Props to you. I mean, in all honesty, a lot of people should be like that. Now, at the same time, I think there is a place for it, but I think by the government, I'll leave this up there for a second. By the government getting involved in all these social programs, doesn't it really take away from the church and the private charities? I mean, we didn't have this welfare system back in the day. And I don't want to even say a date. I just know historically in the United States, there were times where we did not have this welfare or social services system. And guess what? We didn't have the homeless problem like we do now. The people that were homeless chose to be homeless. I don't believe that the people that are homeless now, by and large, choose to be homeless. I mean, back in the day, the churches helped people. I'm a Christian. I think of myself as a strong Christian. I go to church. You'd be surprised how rare it is that people go to the church to ask for help. And I know for a fact part of the reason is because as a church, we are called to spend the money that the church has wisely. That's God's money. I'm not trying to preach to you guys. That's just how the church works. So what's the church going to do if they give someone money? They're going to follow up with that person for multiple reasons. Primarily because they truly want to help that person out. But secondarily, they don't want to be giving money to evil. They don't want to be wasting the money. If that person takes the money and is not trying to improve themselves, logically the church and private charities, for that matter, are not going to continue to help that person, because if you don't want to help yourself, why do others want to help you? I mean, that's not a hateful statement to say. That's just the truth. Dodie, the way we got to this point is the same way you boil a frog, very slowly. That's true. That's very true. Dar, good point. They should leave us alone. Yes. Yes. I mean, we would get so much further if the government would leave us alone. And as I said before, it's not just the United States government. It's governments worldwide. All they do is anymore, they go after the everyday citizen. I guess just for the power. Will Burner, there's no loyalty even in your own party. I agree with that. As I said before, I'm a libertarian, but at the same time, I'm libertarian because that's what fits me closest. I don't know how much I truly do for the Libertarian Party. It's just the party that I align with the most. Wilburn, the US dollar has become globally unstable. Yeah, and you want to know why it's the reserve currency still? Because there's no other currency that could take its place. If there was something strong, most definitely, US dollar would not be the reserve currency. They're trying to find something else to put in place as a reserve currency, but they haven't found it yet, because every single currency worldwide has its issues. I mean, the US dollar has become the default currency just because of that. Eventually, one day, our dollar will not be the reserve currency. I mean, maybe this is conspiratorial, but I truly believe a lot of the countries we invaded, especially under Bush, was because they threatened to use the dollar to purchase oil, or threatened to use something other than the dollar to purchase oil. Dar. We have as well, mainly, well, actually, they're all adults. It costs a fortune. Oh, 6 kids. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I kid you not. Like, we haven't ever looked. We're probably a little bit of fear to look at that, but we just know we spend a crazy amount on groceries, and it would not surprise me at all if all my wife's income is sent right back out the door for groceries. And it used to not be that way. I mean, me and my wife have only been married 4 years, over 4 years. Even just 4 years ago, it was not that bad. Now, granted, we had 2 kids at that time. We didn't have 4, but still. Like, what happened to dang groceries? I remember not that long ago, I got ground beef for $2 a pound. You're lucky to find it under $5 a pound now. And that's just 4 years ago. Dar, we do a lot of sale shopping lately. Yeah, we've started doing that, and we need to get better at that, but we have definitely started doing that. So we used to mainly get groceries at one store because, I mean, let's be honest, how much fun is it to take 4 little ones into a grocery store together? Never mind the fact taking them into 2, 3, or 4. Wilburn, love it. The song, yeah. I mean, I literally had 2-hour drive back to the house, and I listened to that song on repeat on the way back Friday. Dodie, truck stops are filled with junk food. Ain't that the truth? That's why I hardly ever buy anything at a truck stop anymore. I try to get loaded up on groceries before I leave out. And granted, I don't eat the healthiest, but definitely eat better than what I would if I ate at the truck stop. I mean, anytime I eat at the truck stop, especially the fast food, I won't say I get sick, but I feel it. I feel worn down or whatever you call it. Wheel burner. Our health system will pay for obesity and other related issues, but they won't cover much needed surgeries or procedures that would save your life. It's disgusting. Like, and America's heading that way. I mean, that's just disgusting. Obesity is a choice. I mean, maybe that's wrong. I'm sure there are many cases where obesity is hereditary or whatever, but by and large, a lot of that is a choice. If you watch what you eat, I mean, you're not going to be obese. If you work on it, watch what you eat, exercise, that's, I don't know. Stuff that should save your life should not be taking a backseat to obesity-related issues. Wilburn, the government has divided us. They did it to keep us in fear. As long as we are fighting each other, the government can do whatever it wants unnoticed. It's the truth. It's the truth. It just irritates me so much. And I'm really glad that song was released. Wilburn, the last thing the government wants, either in Canada or the U.S., is another convoy incident or terrorist attack. They fear us uniting. Yeah, I mean, I truly believe that's why they keep doing this race card stuff, like trying to divide the whites against the blacks. I mean, how many of us would help out another trucker or another person if they needed help? I don't care if they could be whatever. I don't care. I'm going to help them if I can. 70%. Oh, on the junk food. Yeah, it's not that high, but still 22%, I think it was. Let me get back to it. 22.6%. That's still pretty high. I know WIC. This is why I found it interesting. WIC, I used to work at Walmart when I was younger for a very short period of time. And WIC, they were very limited on what you could spend that stuff on. It's only supposed to be for new mothers with newborns or something like that. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what that program was for. Walmart, and I think grocery stores still to this day, I could be wrong, but I know back in 2008 or 9, whenever I worked at Walmart, they actually had labels on the shelves, like WIC approved. And it was even to the point like Walmart carried like 3 or 4 different brands of milk, but only maybe 1 or 2 maybe would be covered under WIC. Like you couldn't get the expensive over here at Central Dairy milk on WIC. You couldn't get that. You got the great value milk with WIC. I don't know what the food stamps program's like, but it sounds like it's just money on a card. I mean, granted, maybe I'm wrong, but you could buy junk food on it. I can guarantee you couldn't buy junk food with WIC. Oh, wow. It's way off. Yeah. Yeah, that would have been pretty disgusting if it was 70%. I mean, 22% is bad enough. Wilburner, I believe that if we are paying for somebody's groceries with our tax dollars, or we are supporting somebody on welfare through our tax dollars, then we should have a say on what they spend it on. Amen to that. I agree with that cold-heartedly. That's why, in my opinion, all this welfare and social services stuff, it's misguided. I mean, the government doesn't really have an incentive to check on people, make sure they're trying to get better, get off the system. It enables people, and to such a degree that, at least here in the United States, people that are on these programs base their life decisions on whether they're eligible for services. And what do I mean by that? Well, for instance, I read an article, and I ain't going to be able to pull it up right now, but this was years ago, and it was talking about the welfare system and like marriages. There are a lot of people that will not get married to another person because they'll lose services. If their significant other even lives with them, they lose services. So this article is talking, they could actually make $100,000 by living off the system together just by living apart, if that makes sense. I wish I could pull up that article. I doubt I'll be able to because it was so long ago that I read that. But I know that's still a thing where a lot of these people being supported by the government, they do not get married or even live with another person. And that's why a lot of these kids don't have a father in the house. I mean, that's the truth. If anyone wants to join, I'll throw the StreamYard link. Let me get through these comments. So, Doty, discussing is not the right word. It's corruption. It's true. It's true that there's so much to unpack with that. They want us fighting. They want us fighting because, as Will Burner said earlier, if we're divided, divided country could do a lot of good. A lot of good. Will Burner, women first originally entered the workforce in World War II to support the war machine. The men were off fighting and the women were home working. When the men came back home, the women still worked. I thought they quit working for a little bit after that. I thought it was sometime after that that the women went back into the workforce. Maybe I'm wrong on that. You might be right, Will Burner. I'm not saying I'm right. I knew that they entered the workforce to support, as you say, the war machine, because they had to have workers. All the men went overseas. You're probably right on that. Doty, I remember women burning their bras because they wanted to be equal in work. It was all about equal rights. My mom wanted to burn her bra, but my dad didn't let her. It was actually funny. That is pretty funny. I read about that when I was in school. I mean, I'm only 33, but yeah, I read about that. That there were some pretty, I forget what the group was called, but there was a group of women's rights group or whatever, and yeah, they were pretty out there. I get what they were fighting for, though. Doty, my mom never works. I can't even talk. My mom never works a day in her life because my dad didn't want her to work. In all honesty, that's what I kind of want for my wife. I don't want her to work. Granted, she doesn't work full time right now, but eventually she's planning on it. When we got married, she worked full time for the post office. But then when we started having kids, and we thought it'd be best for one of us to be at home. And I mean, truthfully, I thought that it'd be best for her to be at home as a mother, especially with newborns. I mean, I don't need to go into biology why the mother needs to be at home more than the dad. I think you guys could figure that out. Doty, I know for a fact the government wants to stay homeless. They give all kinds of incentives. Yeah, I could see that. The government doesn't care about us. They don't care about people out on the streets. If they did, the people wouldn't be out there. I mean, these people that actually commit crimes just so they have a place to sleep, and that's sad. That's sad. And it's really sad that a lot of police anymore they've become it's pretty cold-hearted to the public and the homeless. Never mind taking 5 kids into the grocery store. Dar hates talking me into the store. Wilbur. Yeah, I kind of hate going to this grocery store too, but I mean, my wife can't hear me at least. I think I could find the deals on the groceries a little better than my wife can. Tank Kelly Trucking. Hey, nice of you to join. I've not seen you in here before. You try shopping with food stamps, you might have a different attitude about it. I've never had food stamps. If I'm saying something wrong about it, please enlighten me. I've never had food stamps. I'm not trying to judge anyone that has it. I hope you're not taking it that way. I'm honestly not trying to judge anyone that has it. Doty. I'd hate to take you into the grocery store too, Brian, especially a hardware store. Will Burner. I have no issue. Cannot talk. I have no issue with a family that needs to use food stamps to feed themselves, their children, just as long as they are using them responsibly. There's a problem when the cart has too much junk. And that's pretty much what that guy was getting across. I don't think anyone in here is trying to say there should be no food stamps. I mean, I'm the opposite, maybe. I think there should be more food stamps. Like the people, the homeless, why in the world can they not be on food stamps? I think what the artist was trying to say and what a lot of us are trying to say, what Will Burner's trying to say is, I mean, there should be standards. Like responsibly, reasonably, I don't know. I know for a fact when I was younger, people used to trade food stamps. Like, I'll buy you this food because they had such a large amount of money or whatever they called it on their card credits. I don't know. But they had more. They could buy more groceries than they needed. Like to an end to where like there was almost a black market for like selling, like, here, I'll give you this off of my food stamps if you give me money or whatever. I think that's what we're all trying to get at. We're not trying to criticize anyone on food stamps. Tank Kelly Trucking. What is more affordable? You guys are just saying right now how expensive groceries are. How can you feed your family on less? Think about it. I mean, well, I'll tell you, for what we're trying to do, in all honesty, my wife is on starting a garden where like our issue with groceries, in all honesty, is we try to buy vegetables, fruits, because obviously we all need it. Our kids need it. That's a lot better for them than chocolate or cookies. So we try to buy and feed our kids well, but the most expensive parts of groceries, at least here in Missouri, is the healthy stuff. Maybe that's what you're getting at. I might be misreading it, and if I am, I apologize. But I know for us, probably the majority of our grocery budget is spent on healthy food, and it shouldn't be that way. I mean, there's so many subsidies that the government gives to farmers, and a lot of those subsidies just end up in, well, for instance, corn. A lot of that stuff ends up in high fructose corn syrup. I have my views on it. I think it's worse for you than even regular sugar. But either way, most of that ends up being junk food, not healthy food. There's a link if anyone wants to join. Will Burner, the word affordable does not apply these days to just about anybody. Groceries are not affordable. They have almost become a luxury instead of a necessity. And that's why my wife is actually trying to grow a huge garden. Like, we hope next year that we have enough to where we don't need to go to the grocery store to buy vegetables and fruits whatever we can grow, she's going to can, freeze, whatever we can to preserve it through the winter until the following year. It's a shame that we have to do that, but at the same time, by farming, it's going to be healthier food anyways. It's not going to have pesticides or all that stuff in there. Tank Kelly Trucking. If you have $50 to feed your family for the week, give them something for lunch. You're not going to buy salads and tomatoes. Yes, that's true. That's very true. You have to give them something. Dodie, WIC is for pregnant women and newborns. Mother or father buying. Food stamps are on a card now called EBS with a limited amount. No hot foods or liquor. Oh. No hot foods? So you couldn't buy a rotisserie chicken? Huh. Yeah, I thought WIC was for pregnant and newborns. But I always thought it was interesting that WIC had such stronger standards. And if I'm wrong, just let me know. But from my time working Walmart, I don't ever remember bringing stuff up on people paying with food stamps. And that was back in the day where it was not on a card. It was something else. I forget what it was. But like we knew whenever you were paying with food stamps back in 2010 or 8, whenever it was I worked at Walmart. Now I think it's on a regular debit card. No one really knows. But when people paid with food stamps back then, I never remember us having to tell them, hey, that's not covered under food stamps. Granted, I don't think anyone ever bought liquor either. But I don't know. I could be a little bit wrong on the food stamps. If I am, I apologize. It's not my intention. Will Burner. When a mother with 2 small children brings her cart up to the checkout, there's 4 bags of Doritos, 2 bags of cookies, 6 boxes of Kraft Dinner, and 1 head of lettuce. That's not responsible. Yes. I mean, well, back in 2011, I know for a fact, people I knew that were on food stamps had well more than they needed for the grocery budget. They honestly could have afforded healthy food. That's why there was such a black market, at least back then, where people would be selling part of their food stamp money for whatever, drugs or just anything. Because obviously the people that have food stamps are poor, so they just sell it for whatever they needed. Dodie, people take advantage of the food stamps benefit. Yeah, all the government social service stuff people take advantage for. I mean, to be truthful, it doesn't matter what social service program there would be. It could be run by a private entity. Someone's going to take advantage of it. The only difference is if a private entity runs it, or a church or whatever, they're going to be accountable for it. If someone, if they're just trying to live on it and not trying to get out of the situation they're in, they want to put a stop to it. I think that's the big problem with all these government subsidies. No one wants to get off them. I mean, do we really need maybe I could be wrong on this too, but do we really need an Obama phone? I know back in 2009 or 10, back then, Obama decided to start a social program for phones where everyone got a cell phone if you wanted one. Dodie, agree, Brian. Will Burner, no hot foods mean you can't go to McDonald's. Okay, that makes sense. Will Burner, unfortunately, all the bad food is cheaper than healthy food. Yeah. And I think a lot of that, if you want my opinion, is because these government subsidies they give to the farmers. I mean, here in America, most of it goes to corn. That's why we've got corn all over the place. That's why they make ethanol out of the corn. Anyone that says we make it's cheaper, better for the environment for us to burn ethanol instead of gasoline is not doing the research. you could fill it like it theoretically. If your car could run on 100% ethanol, and you followed it, how much money was spent on the corn to grow it, all this other stuff, and how much subsidies the government gave to the farmer, your mind would be blown on how much more expensive that was versus the gallon of gasoline that you could have got. Wilburner, I love how you edit out my swear words. Every once in a while I throw one in there just to see if I could catch you. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I don't believe in swearing. I'm not judging anyone that does. That's just not my cup of tea. Although I will tell you the truth, it had been years since I let one slip, and then one of the guys I was talking to on the phone a couple of weeks ago actually got me to say something. I was copying what he said, and he said it, and I just said it without even thinking. Little turd. Some of the guys I talk to try to get it, so yeah. Well, does anyone want to join? Otherwise, I want to end it here in a second. But I don't know. That guy here, I'm going to see. I don't think I had any other. I'll throw this up here in case anyone wants to look at it. Let's get this right. Okay, why is that got to be there? Really? I was about to throw something on here and it had a ad on here that's very appropriate. Okay, I think I got it taken out now. Really? So it's going. Oh, shit. No. Okay, we're going to have to go to a different site. You got to love these ads now. I don't mind the ads, but if it's that's not very appropriate, then it should not be on there. The font on this site is not nearly as good. Oh, well, this will work. Okay, so I zoom in and the ad gets bigger, of course. All right, here's the lyrics for any of you that want to look at it. I'll go through some of these comments too. Tank Kelly Trucking. I tried to look at both sides, but I do shake my head when that mom with 2 kids and the cart full of Doritos has a cell phone and the kids each have cell phones. That for sure is irresponsible. I agree. I mean, now we're getting into everybody's personal beliefs on how kids could be raised. But I'll just say from my standpoint and my wife's standpoint, both of us, we don't let our kids have screens. I mean, granted, our oldest is 8, but we don't have an intention on them having phones anytime soon. I mean, I didn't get my first phone until I was 16, and it was a flip phone. Granted, cell phones had just become popular at that point, but we don't have any intention on doing that stuff. I don't know. If someone wants to give their kids phones, fine, whatever, but it'd be a whole lot better for that kid, in my opinion, if they were not raised on the phone or raised on a screen. Will Burner, you potty mouth. I know, right? I was real upset when I said that. Doty, no hot foods means nothing hot, no deli, nothing that is ordered like a pizza or chicken wings, plus no paper towels, toilet paper, or anything else that's non-edible. Okay, well, at least there's those standards. I agree with that. If you're on food stamps, at least cook from home. I mean, how often? Shoot. Even as a truck driver, I rarely even eat out myself, much less my wife and my kids. I mean, it might be once a month, maybe twice. It's just too expensive. Taking all the kids, let's see. Well, okay, you all can judge me if you want, but like whenever we go out to eat, me and my wife, we'll eat decent. Like my wife will get Chipotle and I'll get, I mean, I don't even get anything expensive. I'll just go to Steak and Shake. But if we ever get the kids something to eat, most of the time we'll just go home and throw something in the oven for them. If we do get them something, we'll buy like 20-piece chicken nugget. We don't even buy the kids meal at like McDonald's or somewhere. But for the generally, we definitely don't like feeding our kids the fast food. Maybe it's a flawed way of thinking, but we'd rather feed that to us because we're already grown. We don't want to feed that bad stuff to the kids because they're still growing, and it probably could do a lot more harm to a kid than it can to an adult. Will Burner, Greed Tank. Will Burner, you need to kill that cricket chirping. Sorry about that. Why do I got a cricket chirping? I'll show you real quick. Or maybe I won't, because I probably can't even remember how to turn it off. That's why, anyone that didn't know, I'm in a garage. All right, let's turn that back on. That's why the cricket was chirping. That car, dang it, I can't ever do that. The car right there. Yeah, it's plugged in. It's a plug-in electric car. Why is that important? Plug-in electric cars have to charge. What happens when an electric car charges? The whole room gets hot because it's thermally managing the batteries and expelling all the heat from the batteries. Well, why is that an issue? If you're in an enclosed garage with a car, it gets super hot, especially whenever it's been 100 degrees all week. Yeah, I had the window open, but the cricket noise should be gone. Although I think there might be a cricket in the garage. Hope that's better, though. I hope it wasn't like that through the whole video. Wilburner or my mom and kids are wearing $1,200 worth of clothing and Nikes, but the rent ain't paid. Yeah, ain't that the truth? I mean, my wife, for the first time in at least a year, bought new clothes last weekend. And when I say new clothes, it was like one outfit, I think. I don't know. That's how we get by. We spend most of our money on groceries. I mean, and a mortgage, but like, it's hard to survive anymore. We literally got our budget cut down real slim because when I started this carrier, I can't afford to pay us real well. Not to get too much into trucking, I'll just say this much, and then I want to share more on another video later on. But I don't believe, especially as a carrier owner, maybe as an owner, I might be wrong, but running a carrier, I don't think you should be paying yourself more than you can make as a company driver, at least in my case. When I say company driver, I left a job making over $100,000. In order for this carrier to survive, if I paid myself that, I would have already been out of business. The money's not there. The money is literally not there. Even whenever I started at the peak of the market, the money wasn't there. Dodie, don't forget to like. Yeah, everyone, throw the like. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I hope you all like this. I really like that song. That's why I wanted to give you guys my take on it. But I really hope that song speaks to people, brings people together, and doesn't like keep people apart. That's not the intention of that song. That song is to unite, not divide. Will Burner, that cricket is still in the garage. He's waiting for you to go inside so he'll take your electric car out for a spin. It's not my electric car. It's a van. Like, it saves on gas. and it's got 150,000 miles on it now, so it has saved money. I'm not saying that people need to get an electric car, but for our case, it has saved us money. Doty, is Biden in the garage? Crickets are always around. Yes. Yes. All right. Is there anything else y'all want to talk about or share? Anyone want to join in? Go ahead and get that out of there. But I don't know. If there is one thing that does shock me, I think this speaks more to the world we're in, and this is not anything anti-cop. Look. $41,000. Get this off. $41,000 for a cop in a city of 50,000. There's got to be a faster way of doing this. This is the first time I've done StreamYard on the. This is the first time I've done StreamYard on a desktop, so forgive me if I'm slow. But $41,000, 38 or let's see, 35. Bare minimum, that cop should be starting out at 47. I don't know. And that's more how the wages are anymore. I know here's a good one. 2005. My dad made, I think it was $16 an hour. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. My dad worked a factory job, made $16 an hour in 2005. My mom still works the same job. They've changed the salary structure a little bit more. Back when my dad worked there, the way the system was set up, they would pay based off of performance, I guess you could say. Now they get paid all the same. Everyone gets paid the same now. I don't like that system, but that's even how FedEx was set up, so whatever. But either way, he made $16 an hour there back in 2005. This inflation calculator now, how much should he be paying if he still worked there? My mom still works there. How much should she be making? It says $25 an hour. She makes like 21 or 22, if I remember right. I mean, that's just another prime example. Our wages are not going up to even meet inflation. Back in the 1800s, before the Federal Reserve, all the way up to the Federal Reserve, guess what? There was no such thing as inflation. You know what there was back before the Federal Reserve? And this is kind of going on a tangent. But before the Federal Reserve, we had deflation. Do y'all know what that means? Deflation. So your wages, I'm not 100% sure if you still got raises back then, but it didn't really matter. Back then, even if you didn't get raises, because we had deflation, it didn't matter if you got a raise, because every year that dollar was getting so much stronger that, like, say 1888, you could buy less than you could, and you could buy more the next year because that dollar was so much stronger. Even though your wages might have stayed exactly the same, your wages didn't go down. They at least stayed the same. But now we have inflation. Ever since the Federal Reserve, we got removed from the gold standard. There's nothing back in our currency. I don't think there's anything back in any government's currency anymore. That's the problem. There should not be inflation. We should have at least a stable currency, but we should honestly have deflation, not inflation. All right. Okay, here we go. Thank Kelly Trucking. I found out when I was in my 30s that my mom used to draw Nike swooshes on my shoes and sandals. I thought I was really high, but we couldn't afford Nike. I knew a lot of kids I went to school with where their parents did that. I mean, shoot, more power to you. That's smart. That is smart. Props to your mom. Dodie. Hey, I only owe. Whoa. You only owe $437 on your truck? Dude, awesome, Dodie. Man, I'll be there next year. I still got a year on my truck. I'm looking forward to that. How about you're ready to pay that off right now? Wilburn, that's a good mom think. Darn right. Wilburn, police in the U.S. are way underpaid. I can honestly say Canadian cops are paid much higher. Yeah, I got your text about that. Oh, that's good. Is that here? We'll go down that road. I really need to get used to the StreamYard screen sharing. You all just be proud. I went out to buy a webcam today for this so I could screen share. All right. Metro Toronto. Yeah, I can't spell. And I can barely type. Why in the world does that not give me the same thing you came up with? Class store. Oh, that's why. I forgot. You're in Canada. So it's going to give me something different. Oh, I bet it was converting that to get American dollars for me. So actually, I'll go back to that. If I'm wrong on that, Wilburn, let me know. But really, don't you love that? Okay, so we got to go off this. $98,000. $98,000. And that cop here in Missouri, the capital city of the whole state, made 41. Less than half of what Toronto police make. You know, in all honesty, so I don't know if I shared this on my channel. I went to school for criminal justice back in whenever I was in college. I actually got 2 associate's degrees in criminal justice. And I was going to be a cop. I decided not to be a cop for various reasons I won't get into right now. But in all honesty, I'm kind of glad I didn't. And this was one of my arguments because my instructor for several of my criminal justice classes was actually the chief of police for that town. He had a very strong argument why cops get paid so little. And his argument was, we don't want anyone being a cop for the money. And his argument was, if people become cops for the money, then they're in it for the wrong motive. But my argument always was, and I can't even remember if I actually gave him that argument because it was my instructor. I mean, I think it should be pretty obvious why I wouldn't want to argue too much with the guy. I was very respectful of the guy. He was a really good guy, and I don't think he had any ill intentions. That was just his true belief. I mean, he was honest, and he was a really good chief. But I think he was misguided on that pay thing. Because my theory on the whole, why would you want to pay your cops so low? $41,000. I mean, if that cop had a spouse that was a cop in that same department, that's what, $82,000 or $83,000 a year. That's decent money, but at the same time, that's still less than what I made as a truck driver at FedEx Freight. Well, actually, that's about what I made at FedEx, and yet my wife still had to work. I don't know. Just, in all honesty, I don't think a cop should be making less than what a truck driver is. even if it is considered a well-paid truck driver, they risk their lives every day. They are the reason that we are safe at night. Why in the world don't we take care of them better? I mean, I don't know. And that's really small on StreamYard screen. I just noticed $98,000, and I assume that's in American dollars because Will Burner sent me a screenshot on his is 108,000. But I assume that's without the conversion into American. Either way, over double. Props to Canada for at least paying their cops good. I bet you all have less issues with the police due to that. Tank Kelly Trucking. I think most of our generation has good moms. That's a big 10-4 Will Burner. Yeah. I mean, I had a decent mom at least. But a lot of people don't even have that. I feel sorry for the people. Dodie, I would join you and go live with you, but Dara will give me that well. Oh, don't worry. It's all right. Wilburn, I 100% agree, Tank. Wilburn, Dara's passed out on the couch. Oh, yeah, I could do that to people. Don't worry. We'll be done here in a minute anyways. Dodie. Dodie, honestly, I don't want to go live for a long time. Hopefully nobody will recognize me. Oh, why not? I hope we're all friends here. I'm not trying to create drama. My intention, honestly, is to unite. Like, Trucking with Liberty. This is the Liberty part of the Trucking with Liberty channel. Wilburn, that's still $70,000 a year short. That's still about $70,000 US a year to start. Really? I thought that 98,000 was already with the. Okay. Here, let me bring it back up because now you got me curious. I don't want to misspeak, so here. Let's see. Converter. All right. So on your side, it was 108,434. Dang, Will Bernie, you got that. Just under 80. You're dang close. I don't know why it came up 98,000 on my side then. Huh. Well, that's still a lot better. That's still just under double what that cop makes here in Missouri. That's for the capital city. I mean, crying out loud. Dodie, thank you, honey. I'm excited about my truck. 1,800 yet to go for my trailer. Yes. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you. I owe one more year on my truck. I think it's around 20,000 left on the truck, and I got 2 years left on the trailer, and I think it's like 30. So I owe like 50 altogether. But I'm making progress. I didn't realize whenever I got the loan for the trailer, I got a 4-year. I meant to get a 3-year, but it probably worked out that I got a 4-year. I'm actually hoping to get all of it paid off at the end of the year, next year, not this year. We'll see, though. Wilburner, there's no way that I would put my life at risk every day. There is no way that I would put my life at risk day in and day out and do a job where politicians have me working with one hand tied behind my back and a camera on my front. Yes. I mean, there's good and bad with the cameras. The bad is there's a lot of cops that, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, I think there's a lot of cops that don't want to use the officer discretion as much as they did in the past. I mean, for instance, whenever I was with my internship with the police department, I could be wrong. Actually, no, they did. They had body cams. Not body cams. They had dash cams. But the dash cam only came on if the lights were on. It was rolling constantly. Don't get me wrong, but the way it was worked, it was either 30 seconds or a minute. It would backfeed once the lights and sirens were activated, or it was lights or sirens. You had 3 stages. They had backlights for stage 1. They had backlights and front lights for stage 2. Backlights, front lights, and sirens for stage 3. Stage 1, the camera did not start recording. Stage 2, stage 3, the camera started recording. Why is that a big deal? Maybe it's not. But whenever that camera is not rolling, yes, there's chance for corruption, and part of me thinks that's why you should pay the officer better, because I think if an officer's making decent money, they'd be less likely to do some corrupt things, because if they lose that job, are they going to be able to get that pay again? Probably not. But with officer discretion, they could actually cut people more of a break. I mean, I didn't see it whenever I was a kid because I didn't really do the drugs or anything, but I heard plenty of stories of cops just pouring out the alcohol or just destroying the marijuana, stomping it out on the ground right outside the car. I think a lot of cops are afraid to do that, or maybe they're incentivized just to get all the arrests they can anymore. They're not, a lot of them are not as out to help others. Will Burner. No, we have the same issues with police that you do. We just don't have as many because we have 1/10 of your population. I'm surprised. I would have thought that you all would have had less if y'all paid your officers that much better. I could be wrong. Like I said, it's just a theory I had. But that's a big reason why I didn't become a cop. That and the divorce rate. I never wanted to be divorced. And one of my mentors went through a divorce and was an officer. And that was the straw that broke the back, so to say, that caused me to say, you know what? I'm not going to be a cop. So I become a truck driver that also has a high divorce rate. Yeah, figure that one out. Dodie, you would have made a great police officer. My niece and her husband are both officers and bodybuilders. You all think I have muscles. Well, thank you, Dodie. I think I would have too, but at the same time, my grandpa always had a saying. And this could also be taken wrong, and that's not my intention. But what happens when you put a rotten apple in a basket with good apples? They all become rotten. How does that apply to officers? What happens when you interact with the worst of society day in and day out? What happens? Well, as a young officer, you're all gung-ho. You're going to do good, defeat crime, make your society, your jurisdiction, your city, county, whatever it be, your state. You're going to do your best to make it better. What happens whenever you're 20 or 30 years in and not only has the place you worked out of gotten worse, like not gotten better, but it's actually gotten worse, even though you've tried day in and day out to make it better? You're going to start thinking everyone's bad. You're going to be jaded towards the everyday citizen. That's what I saw. The young officers were the nice officers by and large. The senior officers, everyone was bad by and large. There were exceptions, but by and large, if you want to throw a generality, that's what the generality would be. Dodie, he does leave out your cuss words, Brian. That's so cute. Yeah, I just don't cuss. Wilbur, I don't want a body cam on me just in case I am out and some crazy truck driver is wandering around the neighborhood, and when I harass him, he's going to ask for the footage and burn me with it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I try to think the best of that officer, but it really came across the wrong way. I don't know. I really hope that when I get the footage, they leave in parts before it, and maybe there's a part before it where, who knows, maybe I was walking right from the same direction some other guy was walking away. Maybe I was wearing the same stuff. I don't know. We'll find out if I even get the footage. We'll see. But I know he was just trying to do a job, and I'm trying to stand up for my rights. It is what it is. It would have went a lot better if I would have just done what he said, but I don't like giving up my rights. Tank Kelly Trucking. Just like any job, politician, police, truck driver, whatever, if you pay more, you attract the better people. Amen to that. That's exactly what I'm thinking. That's why what Wilburner said kind of shocks me. That really shocks me. I would have thought pay the police better. You're going to have less corruption. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Logically, it seems to fit. Doty, 100% agree, Tank. Wilburn, I agree with most of that, Tank, except the politician. You can never pay a politician enough. They will always want more. Yeah, the problem with the politician part, I'll agree with you on that, Wilburn. The problem with the politician part is a lot of the time they don't care about the money. I mean, we honestly don't pay the president that much. I think it's like $200,000 a year, 300, something like that. You think, well, that's a lot of money. For a president, not really. That's not that much money. Those guys, I mean, come on. Trump donated all his money every year. He still might be doing it for all I know. The people that become president for the power. The people that go to Congress, they go there for power. I mean, that's the whole reason they don't have laws against insider trading for the people in Congress. They just want to help themselves out. But if anyone's got anything else, I'll give you a minute or two. But otherwise, I'm going to end it. We're at about 2-hour mark almost. I'll chop this up, and hopefully tomorrow I can actually get the main part of this released as a video. But hope you all enjoyed it. That guy, though, I'm going to put this back up here. Because this, for anyone that might have joined late, yes, I'm very slow at this. This guy, I honestly think he's about as real as it can be. I mean, $8 million contract and he walks away from it. People would say he's stupid. No, this guy is trying to show people this is not about the money, it's about the message. Wilbur, in Canada, when a politician wins an election and takes office, he doesn't start thinking about policies. He starts thinking about how he's going to win the next election, stay in power. Exactly the same here in the United States, Wilbur. Rest area raccoon. Hey, nice to see you. I ain't seen you in here before. Don't worry, even if you pay a politician minimum wage, they will still end their career as millionaires. Yes. Yes. At insider trading, the power they get with other elites. I mean, the special interest groups, the lobbyists. I could go on and on. Never mind the fact that a lot of our government agencies like FDA and those other government agencies that are fleeing my mind right now, they're run by the industry they're supposed to be regulating. Why in the world would we allow, say, a pharmaceutical CEO to take a position over the agency that oversees the company that he was a CEO at? That's wrong. That's wrong. I mean, there's so many things that need to be fixed with this country. We've given up our rights. The FBI is another one. They do illegal searches and trample on our rights on a daily basis. CIA, NSA. I think NSA is the one that's recording every single conversation that we have over phones. Found that out thanks to Snowden, but yet they label him a traitor. How's he a traitor? He's a whistleblower. How's he a traitor? He's a traitor because he made it known to everyone that all of our communications are being recorded. It's just ridiculous. Wilburn, believe that, or a Sarah Raccoon. Doty, my power is in the cat engine, but they discontinued it. Just another day in the world of me. Yeah, I never got to drive a cat. I heard there were good engines, but because of emissions, they stopped. All right. We're just 3 minutes short of the 2-hour mark. I do like this picture. As Dar said earlier, unfortunately, she fell asleep. Hopefully, I put her to sleep real well. Doty, hi, Raccoon. That's his family. This is what he cares about, this artist. Getting back to it. I believe this is, and don't ask me who's who, but I think this is the picture with his grandpa, the one that was actually named Oliver Anthony. To me, this guy's an inspiration. I hope people listen to this song and don't try to put up dividers. I know this song was on the Republican debate. I actually listened to it and I laughed just as much as the video that the artist put up on YouTube. I'm going to put a link after this live is done in the description. So if y'all want to follow him, all you got to do is search Oliver Anthony music on YouTube. I'll have a link in the description after I end this. But watch his video. This guy is true. Like, he had a update that he released just this week. This guy just wants to help people. Like, he wants the insanity, as you might call it, to end. The division to end. He wants us to get back to our roots. This is not what the Founding Fathers wanted. And I'm sure the Founding Fathers in Canada and a lot of the other nations didn't want it this way. I don't care if you're a Canadian, American, Iranian, Iraqi, like Britain, German. You want to know what all those countries have in common, the everyday citizen? They just want to be left alone, live their life. A Chinese person, they just want to live their life. What gets in the way of that in all these countries? Name a country. What gets in the way of their life? The vast majority of the time, it's the government. It's not the evil people. Like, when I say evil people, it's not the criminals. It's not the gangsters. It's not fill in the blank. The vast majority of the time, it's the government that gets in the way of the everyday citizen becoming something better. We have the American dream here. That should be worldwide, in my opinion. It should not be an American thing, but they're trampling on that too. That's what the artist of this song is trying to get across. What song? What guy? I missed the start. Well, you can look back, but in all honesty, I couldn't play. I did play it in its entirety, but I had to pause and stop. As Brian said, there's a link pinned at the top. Just click that and it'll go to the video. It's crud, I'll say it wrong, but it's up there, and I'll have it linked in the description once I end this. Doty, thank you, sweetheart. It's been a pleasurable evening. Sweet dreams, Brian, Tank, Dar, and Raccoon. I missed these two. I'll get these right quick. Rest area Raccoon. Hi, Doty, everyone else. Wilburn, great job tonight, Don. I really enjoyed this live. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to wrap it up. I think this is a good image to wrap it on. As Dar said earlier, I really like that image. But I hope you all enjoyed it. I had fun doing this. I hope you all got something out of it. What what that guy said, like through his music, to me, it was just a blessing to even hear that. I'm so glad that went viral, as they call it. But anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you all for joining, and I will see you all in the next one. Perfect.